Come on. Are we live? Is it working? Oh, it says I'm live. It looks like it's working. So I'm a little early. Sorry, I'm just trying to get everything set up here because I will be picking a giveaway winner. But this isn't doing what I wanted to do. There we go. Okay. So that's working. Okay. So I am here, I guess. And I just need to get back into the swing of it because I didn't do a live stream last week because of the holidays. So, first things first, make sure that you're subscribed to my channel and give the video a thumbs up if you like it. And also, I'm going to be picking my giveaway winner here. Me do this. So thank you to everybody that entered my giveaway. I really appreciate it. There were about 36 entries, so a lot more than my last giveaway. So I know I'm reaching more people, and I'm really excited to give this tarot deck and crystal away. Um, and I'm just excited that Round the Cauldron has turned one, and we're in 2020, and I'm still doing this, and I'm still enjoying it. So let me pick my giveaway winner. So I've got a Rafflecopter open here. You make sure that you guys can see it too. Can you see that? Is it working? Yeah. Okay. So we are going to. I'm gonna do it this way. Pick a winner. So congratulations to Christine. You are the winner of my Pagan Tarot deck and my Citrine Crystal. And I'm going to go ahead, I will reach out to you via email or Facebook or whatever. And I'm also going to be announcing the winner over on Instagram and Facebook after this live stream is done. So congratulations again, Christine. I will be reaching out to you and I will get that sent to your way as soon as possible. So that's exciting. Let's move on. Okay, so I got to get my notes out here for today's episode because I want to talk about the concept of the triple goddess within Wicca as Maiden, Mother, and Crone. Um, Now, full disclosure, I used to label myself as a Wiccan. I used to believe in the concept of the triple goddess and the horned god. I have since moved away from that. If you have been here for a while, you will have known I did an episode on revisiting theisms and how my views have changed over the course of the last year or so. Um, but the concept of Maiden, Mother, Crone is something that's been sort of debated recently that I've seen on different social media platforms. And it's not necessarily that, the concept itself is debated, I guess. It's what it means, what it stands for, and who came up with it. So that's basically what I want to talk about today. Sorry, I'm really thirsty today. But I've got a bunch of notes here, okay? And all of these links, I'll put the links that I've got for everything in the show notes and in the description. But the Maiden Mother Crone concept within Wicca isn't actually a historic concept. Yes, the idea of a triple goddess is a historic concept, but the idea of Maiden Mother Crone is not. It's actually something that was developed, I guess you could say, by Robert Graves in his book The White Goddess. And again, full disclosure, I've never read The White Goddess. I've looked for it at my library, My library doesn't have it. None of the libraries in my area have it. So if I want to read it, I have to buy it. But I'm not sure that I want to buy it. But I do need to read it. So that's that. Um, and he actually talks about multiple ideas of a triple goddess within Wicca. So it was like Maiden, Mother, Crone. Let's see, did I have them written down? No, I don't have them written down. But the Maiden, Mother, Crone concept wasn't the only one. I believe there were two others. And for some reason, they just sort of stuck. And I have a quote here that I got that comes from the book, and it says that Graves explained, as goddess of the underworld, she was concerned with birth, procreation, and death. As goddess of the earth, she was concerned with the three seasons of spring, summer, and winter. She animated trees and plants and ruled all living creatures. As goddess of the sky, she was the moon in her three phases of new moon, full moon, and waning moon. As the new moon or spring, she was a girl. As the full moon or summer, she was a woman. And as the old moon or winter, she was a hag. So, again, in a historical context, this isn't an accurate depiction of the idea of a triple goddess. This is something that, as far as the research that I've done, Robert Graves came up with based on his own research and um, sources. However, he has kind of been discredited in this aspect because he didn't give away his sources. Like, he didn't say where he got his information from. And when he did say where he got his information from, none of the sources were scholarly in context, like at all. And that doesn't necessarily mean that his book, The White Goddess, is a poorly written book. I've heard good things about it and I've heard bad things about it, just like every other book. But I want to dig a little deeper into the concept of Maiden, Mother, Crone as it applies to the modern age, because I personally have an issue with the goddess being seen as Maiden, Mother, Crone. And please keep in mind, this is my opinion, and I'm just here to spread what I believe within this concept. And if you believe it too, great. If it causes you to think about what it is that you believe and why you believe it, that's awesome. I always encourage critical thinking and a healthy dose of skepticism. And if the Maiden, Mother, Crone concept is something that you believe and you resonate with, that's great too. Like, I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong. I'm simply here giving my opinion about it. So, um, uh, historically, again, the idea of the triple goddess is not new. We see ideas of triple goddesses within the Greek pantheon, within the Celtic pantheon. I'm sure there are ideas of triple goddesses in the Norse pantheon, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. But with the triple goddess, historically, it was often represented different to what we see today. So I'll take Bridget, for example, because Bridget is a goddess that I connect with heavily. She, historically, in her myths and stories, can be seen as a triple goddess, but in the fact that Bridget is herself, but she also is the three sisters. So that is one concept of a triple goddess. And then you also have another concept of triple goddess where there is one goddess, but she covers three different areas and she is seen for three different things. Because, again, historically, the number three is a very powerful number. So that is where the original meaning of triple goddess comes from, as far as my understanding goes. So when Robert Graves took it a step further and created this Maiden, Mother, Crone or Maiden, Mother, Hag idea of a triple goddess, he really based it off of like an accurate representation, but also changed it around and made it something that sort of, in my opinion, fit his narrative and fit the narrative for what Wicca is. Um, so, like I said, a lot of Graves' work has been discredited by scholars due to a lack of primary sources and poor research. But with his concept of Maiden Mother Crone, it's broken down as like Maiden is a girl before her prime, before menstruation, with all of the innocence that you would expect from a child. And then Mother is obviously a woman in her prime, um, sexual and fertile and ready to have all the babies. Okay. And then Crone is seen as the old woman, the hag, who is wise but also barren. So, my issue with the maiden mother crone concept in today's age is the fact that the goddess in Wicca, if you're just looking at her as the triple goddess, appears to be reduced to her ability to produce children and to procreate, her fertility. And I think that it's not appropriate for those of us in the modern world to see the divine feminine as just the sum of her parts, the sum of her ability to be fertile and create life, because that's not going to resonate with every woman that is practicing Wicca. And that's not what a woman should be known for. And that's one of my main issues with the maiden mother crone concept. So, the concept itself, now looking at it, you know, in hindsight, does make me a little more uncomfortable. And I say this as someone who comes from a Wiccan background. Before I was Wiccan, I was Christian. So I went from being Christian and having no divine feminine figure to going to Wicca to having, you know, an abundance of divine femininity mixed with an abundance of divine masculine energy represented in the triple goddess and the horned god. Okay. And now moving past that, after growing myself, being a woman myself, having a child and being a mother and being a partner, my views on this have really changed and morphed and grown, essentially. So, one of the reasons that it makes me uncomfortable is that the idea of the triple goddess was created by a man to fit his narrative to show what femininity is about and how femininity should be displayed within the religion. Now, if you are more of a liberal person in the modern age, you would know that femininity doesn't really have a description. Like, I mean, it does. It has a definition technically. But one thing that is labeled as feminine doesn't necessarily mean it's only for women, right? Because we're trying to move away from the idea of toxic masculinity and that only certain things are feminine and certain things are masculine. And I don't think that an idea generated by a man should govern a woman's value. And essentially, in my opinion, that's what Robert Graves did. Sorry, it's raining. But he decided that the divine feminine, that a woman's value and divinity as a goddess would be broken down into pre-fertility, fertility, and lack of fertility. And all of this has to do with the ability to create life. So, no, I don't think that that should be decided by a man, ever, because a man does not get to decide the value of a woman. And again, that goes down to dwindling down the divine feminine by her ability to procreate is insulting. Now, I know that a lot of this has to do with the seasonal cycles, because we can see the fertility of the land in the seasonal cycles. And I know that the triple goddess is connected to the land within those seasonal cycles because of the mythos and the stories within Wicca. However, there is so much more to the idea of the triple goddess or to the idea of Mother Earth than the ability to create life or the ability to destroy life or take it away. There are so many other things that could be used or seen as an example of the divine feminine in a triple goddess aspect. And the ability to create life, I don't think should be one of them, because that shouldn't define the value of a woman again. So in my opinion, women can be more than the sum of their parts. Okay, so, and fertility, like women can be more than the sum of their parts and fertility. And this especially is true when it comes to the divine feminine. And this is something that's important to me specifically. So I've got a couple points here, and I keep referencing my notes because I'm getting like sidetracked. But in my opinion, the maiden mother crone concept is dismissive of several different groups of people. It is dismissive of those who are asexual, those who are transgender, and those who choose not to reproduce or who don't reproduce for one reason or another. So this is something that's important to me anyway, because I am a feminist, and I try my hardest to be as inclusive as possible. And we should not be dismissing the idea of, or we should not be dismissing those who don't conform to the normal idea of femininity. So, don't dismiss the asexuals, don't dismiss the bisexuals and the lesbians and all of the other sexualities out there. Don't dismiss the transgender women who don't fit this mold because they weren't born biologically with a womb. A woman is not characterized by her ability to carry children. Um, and then this, I have a complicated relationship with the idea of motherhood. I have never really fit in the mold of Maiden, Mother, and Crone when it comes to the idea of the triple goddess being applied to the women who practice Wicca. And that's something that I see a lot of, is people trying to fit into the mold and like, am I in my Maiden stage? Am I in my Mother stage? Am I in my Crone stage? And there are those of us who don't and who will never fit into those categories, or who go from one category and completely skip to another one and then go backwards. You know, there's so many different variables that it's never going to fit for every single person. And for myself, let me explain my complicated relationship with motherhood, okay? um I, as a teenager, I was like, I want all the kids. I'm gonna be a great mom. That's all I want in life, is to be a mom. And that I was adamant, like I was gonna have like 4 kids, and I was gonna be happily married and gonna be a great mom, and I was gonna do all of the things with all of the kids, and life was just gonna be great, right? That is all I wanted. I just wanted to be a mom. Well, fast forward to when I actually became a mom. I had a super easy pregnancy until towards the end. I had a little bit of complications, but nothing major. Um, and then after I gave birth, I had severe postpartum depression, like really bad. And my daughter's 6 now, and I have never shied away from telling my story on dealing with postpartum depression and how motherhood has affected me because I know it helps other people. But I didn't want anything to do with this beautiful baby that I had helped to create. I mean, obviously, I took care of her because it was my responsibility, but I didn't want to be in the same room with her. I didn't want to hold her. I hated when she cried. I didn't want to listen to it. And I had to get help to be a good mother. I had to be medicated to just, you know, want anything to do with the child that I helped to create. And so I have a complicated relationship with motherhood, and that postpartum depression is something that has followed me um, throughout my life. Like if you've been here for a little bit, I've talked about my mental health and my diagnosis of major depressive disorder. So I've had that for most of my life, and then having the postpartum depression just compounded on top of that. But it really made me rethink my idea of having more children. And at this point in time, no, I probably won't have more kids. I don't fit into that role of mother. I I mean, I am a mom, but I don't fit in with the stereotypical mom role. I don't want more kids. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes my daughter gets on my nerves, but hey, if you're a parent, you know that like that happens no matter what. But I don't want more kids. And so I don't fit into that role of sexuality and fertility. And I got the birth control that lasts for 12 years because I don't want more kids. And my boyfriend, he's on the same page. He doesn't want more kids either. So we're good there. But that, in a nutshell, I guess, is my complicated relationship with motherhood and how my experience has colored my beliefs. So at this point, it's like, yeah, if you're looking at it, I've moved on to the Crone phase and I'm still in my 20s, you know, I just turned 28. But it's, it all again revolves around the womb and the ability for a woman to carry a child or the want of a woman to carry a child. And I think that's crap. And I don't think that the divine feminine, no matter what pantheon, no matter what belief, she should not be dwindled down and reduced to her womb and the sum of her parts to create life. I guess that's my main issue with the Maiden Mother Crone concept. Now, I know there are arguments for and against this aspect of the Maiden Mother Crone idea. And it's like, I know it works for some people, but for me, it just doesn't. And I used to try really hard to accept the idea of the Maiden Mother Crone concept as a triple goddess, but looking back on it, I think that's one of my main issues with why I left Wicca. I know there are a lot of reasons why I left Wicca. Maybe I'll make an entire video for YouTube or an entire episode for the podcast and the live stream about the reasons why I left Wicca and what I don't agree with anymore. But yeah, that's it. And oh, one thing that really bugs me about the contrast between the triple goddess and the horned god is you've got the triple goddess who is broken into her three parts based on her ability to create life, right? Maiden, Mother, Crone. But then you've got the triple god or the horned god who is described as the horned god or the hunter or lord, and he's not reduced down to his ability to create life. He's a hunter. He is strong and powerful. And what she's over here just doing what she does, having babies, creating life, making the world fertile, and he's over here being strong and powerful and stereotypically masculine. That's not an equal partnership, I don't think. And within Wicca, they're supposed to be the deities, the two deities, the Lord and Lady, are supposed to be equally contrasting, you know, equal but opposite, I guess you could say. And in my opinion, in the way I view things, I don't see that at all. I don't see that they are equal but opposite. I see them as the Lord is seen as being strong and powerful, and the lady is seen as being meek and reduced to her womb. So, like I said, I know this concept works for some people, and that's great. Um, it doesn't work for me because of my complicated relationship with motherhood, probably because of my idea of feminism and my attempt to be as inclusive as I possibly can. And yeah, I guess that's it. So let me know in the comments for the YouTube video, for the live stream, and podcast listeners, send me an email or um, send me a message on Facebook or Instagram or on the show notes page for this episode. I'd love to know your ideas of the Maiden Mother Crone concept and how you feel about it. I know I have some Wiccan followers out there. I know I have some followers who practice other traditions and paths or who just practice witchcraft. I love getting other people's perspectives. And again, Maiden Mother Crone can be controversial. And for me, it's hard to see this concept apply to everyone because I'm not going to have any more kids. I know women out there who can't have kids due to either infertility issues or because they don't have a womb. And it's hard to see those people try to fit into this Maiden Mother Crone concept and feel sort of left out because they don't they don't fit because they can't have kids. And it's just something that is important to me, and I see these women struggle, and it makes me sad and it breaks my heart. So let me know what you think about the Maiden Mother Crone concept. Let me know if you agree or you disagree. Give this video a thumbs up if you are watching on YouTube, and I will talk to you guys later. And congratulations again to Christine, the winner of the giveaway. So I will see you guys later. Bye.